everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I've got a fun one for you. These are 10 commanders that you have never heard of, but you should be building right now. Check out that card list link in the description below if you're interested in any of them, and of course, let's jump into them. Volrath the Fallen is a super ancient commander that many players out there have never heard of, but should be building around right now. It is a 6/4 for 6 mana in black Phyrexian Shapeshifter. You gotta trust me on that. By paying 2 mana in black, discard a creature card from your hand. Volrath the Fallen gets +X/+X until end of turn. X the discarded card's converted mana cost. This is a card that says, hey, you know what we're going to be doing? We're going to be doing some absolutely amazing, gigantic, huge things. Again, a card so old that it literally just says legend. That's all it is. Like, I'm a legend. Don't worry about the other creature types. I'm just a legend. That's what I am. Anyways, what you are doing with this one is utilizing massive creatures. Again, those absolutely huge creatures. Those ones that, cost 16 mana and do basically nothing. And you're like, okay, discard you, and all of a sudden Volrath becomes the largest creature on the board by far. You, of course, can utilize ways to get it through in combat. You can one-shot KO players. You can utilize those, black fling type effects, which typically end up being like a life-draining effect based off of power. You can utilize ways to recur those creatures out of your graveyard again and again and again. It is such a spicy commander, such a fun commander, such a great commander to build around right now. Go do it! Multani Maro-Sorcerer is such a cool, amazing, old-school commander that many players out there have never seen, never heard of, and they should be building around right now. Star. Trust me here, Elemental Sorcerer. That's what it is nowadays. For 6 mana in green, power and toughness each equal to the total number of cards in all players' hands. All, not just your own. Oh, and by the way, can't be the target of spells or abilities. That means Shroud right there. So yeah, sure, you can target it, but your opponents can't either. And what you can do with that, though, are utilize certain types of, again, like enchantments, creatures, artifacts that have, blanket effects that help all of your things that aren't targeting. So it's like, yeah, okay, cool. I've got a way to essentially give all of my creatures trample. Oh, great. My commander, which is absolutely massive, absolutely huge, can all of a sudden just go out there, and the second I play it, be basically a 2-shot, if not a 1-shot KO to take out all of my opponents. Oh, while they cannot target it as well. Such a spicy commander with a, again, massive upside, and then a slight downside you gotta work around, which makes the build super cool. Check it out, build around it, pick it up. Reya Dawnbringer is such a cool, amazing, old commander that, deserves more attention than it gets. A 4/6 angel for 9 mana in white. It's got flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target creature card from your graveyard back to play. This card from all the way back in, Invasion? My goodness, 2000. This is a card that essentially says, hey, you know what we're going to be doing? The biggest things in the world on every single one of our upkeeps. We are bringing back creature after creature after creature after creature. We are getting free reanimation. Yeah, does this commander cost 9? Sure. But again, it is a commander that is well worth that because that payoff is huge. Even after the very first time that this triggers, that can be huge because, you could have a creature in graveyard that costs, again, 10+. And you're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. First of all, I've got my commander in play for 9, 4/6 flyer. And by the way, that 10 cost creature in my graveyard is free that I just got to play. Oh, and by the way, next turn I'm getting another one that is free. Again, you are just investing very heavily into 3 things in this deck. A ton of ramp, a ton of ways to mill yourself essentially and get a lot of things into your graveyard, and then a lot of ways essentially to, take advantage of those massive creatures that are coming again and again and again. Getting those big creatures in your deck, getting them in your graveyard, and getting them right into play and dominating your opponents. It is such a fun and exciting and exhilarating commander. Check it out, pick it up, build around it. Maraxus of Keld is such a forgotten old commander that many players out there have never even seen, so I guess it's technically not forgotten in that way, but it's such a fun one. It is a star human warrior for 6 mana in red. You gotta trust me on the human warrior part. Again, it's so old that it just says summon legend. It's got power and toughness equal to the total number of untapped artifacts, creatures, and lands you control. So incredibly specific, but one that has gotten more and more powerful over the years because, we are getting more and more ways to make, artifacts essentially, right? We've got plenty of ways to make treasures, clues, blood tokens, etc., etc., etc. And essentially, if we build up that giant stash of things, now we've got all these untapped artifacts in play. counting also the untapped lands and also the untapped creatures we have, and we are able to go, oh yeah, I just have an insane amount. By the time I play this, it is going to be basically a one-shot KO on anyone. And if not a one-shot KO, I mean a two-shot KO. And we've got plenty of ways to grant it double strike, plenty of ways to double up its power. We also have fling effects out there. We also have like Chandra's Ignition, which can go, oh yeah, everyone takes damage based off this power. You got plenty of ways to one-shot the entire table with this, again, underused commander from 1997 that everyone has forgotten about. It is such a spicy commander, such an insane commander, such a cool commander, and one that when you hit it with the table, you're like, hey, yeah, I'm playing Maraxus of Keld. And they're like, what? Maraxus of Keld? You're like, yeah, Maraxus of Keld. That's what we're doing. Take that. Dakkon Blackblade is such an old school spicy commander. A star human warrior. Again, it says 7 legend. Trust me on that. It's a human warrior. For 6 mana in Esper. Power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control. Let me say that again. It's an Esper commander that says, hey, your power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. It is a non-green commander that is like, hey, I'm all about the lands. Where can you get that? Where else can you get that? A commander that is an Esper that's like, you know what we're going to be doing? Lands. Yeah, it is such a cool build around, such a fun build around, and one that, again, all the way back from 1995, you can see why, you know, the color pie maybe wasn't as established as it is now. You're like, yeah, Esper, these 3 colors, lands, they care about lands. Sure, why not? You know, plains, islands, swamps, all the cool things. Get all the lands in play. Utilize ways to, you can utilize some amazing, again, you're in white, anthems, auras, enchantments. You can utilize some good ways in blue and black to get it through. You can utilize some crazy effects, essentially, to get a ton of lands into play. Again, I'm thinking about, like, Patron of the Moon style. You can do so many cool things to essentially say, you know what we're going to be doing? Esper lands, here we go. Zirilan of the Claw is such a cool old school commander with some amazing old school art. This is a 3/4 Lizard Shaman, because yeah, that's a thing. 4/5 mana in red. It's got pay 3 in total in red. Tap, search your library for a dragon card. Put it into play as though it were just played. Shuffle your library afterwards. That creature's unaffected by summoning sickness. Remove the creature from the game at the end of the turn. Basically what that means is, hey, tutor up a dragon permanent, put it around the battlefield, and then all of a sudden haste, and by the way, it's exiled at the end step. Yeah, this is a repeat tutor for your most powerful creatures out there. Again, your mono red dragon, just absolute monstrous deck where you've got all these heavy hitters again and again and again and again and again. You are able to do some absolutely crazy things with this. When you're just doing some cheaty things with this one, I mean, you're like literally like, okay, auto-tutoring out the best potential card that you could do in the situation that you're in. Of course, you are in red. There's only so many ways to untap, but you do have threaten effects that you can utilize to untap this again, so you can utilize it multiple times in a turn when you want to. You also have some ways to maybe temporarily copy those dragons that you're playing to. You can do some really spicy, really amazing things with this, again, underrated and unknown commander to many. Check it out, pick it up, build around it. Selenia Dark Angel, one of my favorite commanders of all time, is still unknown to many. Many players out there have never heard of this commander from all the way back in 1997. I believe this is Tempest, a 3/3 Phyrexian Angel. You gotta trust me on that. For 5 mana and Orzhov, it's got flying. It's so old that it literally says, hey, you know what? I count as an angel in the text, because it's like, well, where do we put that? Because it's like a legend, obviously, so you have to put that somewhere. Anyways, pay 2 life. Bounce it back to its owner's hand. This is such a super simple commander, such a commander that, again, if you're a newer player, you might not realize, okay, like, well, that's kind of garbage, right? It's like a 3/3 for 5 mana that can, like, protect itself at the cost of life. Like, what do I want that for? Here's the thing. Losing life can be an amazing thing because life swap is such a fun strategy. Cards that essentially go, oh, I'm at 1 life, you're at 40. Hey, let's switch, okay? You're at 1, I'm at 40, all right? That's fair, right? Or cards that essentially set everyone down to the lowest life total. This is a commander that says, hey, you know what we're going to be doing? I'm going to be going down to either 1 or 2 life, depending on if I'm an even or odd number, because I can keep activating that ability in response to itself again and again and again and again and again to set my life total down, and then all of a sudden swap lives with an unsuspecting player who's like, oh, well, I was at like 1,000 life because I've got a life gain strategy and I'm at 1. Ouch. and then you take them out with a very, very small amount of damage. Such a fun commander. Go check out the episode on it, but also make sure that you maybe take out some of the board wipes in there, because this was back when I was very newer to Commander, and I maybe put too many in there, like 15 plus. So like take out a couple, okay? Mageta the Lion. Such a cool, insane old school commander from all the way back in 2000, a 3/3 human spell shaper for 5 mana and white. By paying 4 in white and tapping, you discard 2 cards from your hand to destroy all creatures except Mageta the Lion. And by the way, no regeneration. Basically, Wrath of God on a stick. This is a commander that essentially goes, hey, you know what we're going to be doing? Well, I'm going to be staying in play. And also, my other creatures maybe might stay in play depending on how I build the deck. And yes, that is how I would be building the deck around this one, where you build indestructibility into the deck. You're like, hey, my other creatures are ones that can survive this, that can maybe blink themselves away if they need to. They come back. Whatever kind of effect you need, essentially, to keep those creatures in play, mostly indestructibility, but essentially, your board will stay in shape. Your opponent's boards will not. You can also utilize, again, vehicles, other types of creatures that are temporarily creatures and then not creatures when you don't want them to be. You essentially can just keep your board in flux. You can keep your board ready to go. You can keep your board situated where your opponents are like, oh, yeah, okay, my board's gone. And all of a sudden, these random, like, little, like, indestructible things are coming at me again. And sometimes not so little, being able to take your opponents out. This is such a cool commander, such a unique commander, and one that essentially says, hey, you know what the problem is? All of your creatures, they're gone again. And all of a sudden, I am taking over the game. Lord of Tresserhorn, well, first of all, has some of the most metal art out there of all time, but also is an amazing commander from all the way back in 1996. Is this Alliances? Anyways, 10-4 zombie. You gotta trust me, there it is, a zombie. For 4 mana in Grixis. When it comes into play, you pay 2 life, you sacrifice 2 creatures, and target opponent draws 2 cards. Oh, the whole thing about, like, effects that prevent or reduct damage cannot be used to counter loss of life. Yeah, don't worry about that. That's, like, very specific. That, like, doesn't really affect anything. That's just like, hey, like, this is how things work. Anyways, by the way, also, you can pay a single black mana to regenerate Lord of Tresserhorn. This is a commander that is so incredibly metal and so incredibly amazing, where it's like, yeah, here we're going. I'm in Grixis, and I'm a 10-4 for 4 mana. Oh, and I can regenerate as well to protect myself. And there is a downside, yes. 2 life, that is like no big deal at all in Commander. Again, you're literally like 1/20th of your life total, right? You are literally at 40 life. You're like, oh no, I got on a 38. Oh, I'm so hurt. Sacrificing 2 creatures, sure, that is a payment, but also there are certainly plenty of things in, you know, Commander where you can be like, okay, I can build out a bunch of tokens. Okay, I can build out creatures that maybe bring themselves back. I can bring out creatures that I can easily bring back, you know, bloodghasty type things. Or, you know, hey, the opponent draws 2 cards. That also is a downside, sure, but you can turn it into an upside by going, hey, are you my buddy? Hey, who wants to be my buddy out of you 3, okay? Because I'm going to make a deal with one of you, and you get 2 cards just for free. So take 2 cards, and yeah, we won't attack each other for the next, like, 3 turns or so, okay, right? You make deals, essentially. You make deals with opponents, and they're going to be like, yeah, there's a 10-4 commander in play. Maybe I'll make a deal and take the 2 cards and not attack the Lord Tresserhorn player. Of course, also you earn cards that can get this through. Again, you have plenty of great evasion in blue and black. You get ways to double up power and double strike as well in red. You can easily turn this into a one-shot KO on anyone. So yeah, have fun with Lord Tresserhorn. So incredibly unique for a Grixis old school commander. Kangee Aerie Keeper is an amazing old school card from back in 2000. I believe this is Invasion. A 2/2 bird wizard. Trust me on that. For 4 mana in Azorius, it's got kicker for 2 and X. Flying comes into play if you paid the kicker cost, you X feather counters on it. All birds get +1 for each feather counter on it. This is a massive anthem commander for birds. Who's ever heard of that? This is a commander that says, hey, you know what you're doing? Well, you can just dump a ton of mana into me, obviously. And of course, you can build in a lot of ways to ramp effectively. You can also build in a lot of proliferate effects as well, where even if you just get 1 feather counter on this to start, all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, building more and more and more and more and more. Oh, and by the way, this also impacts your commander because it is a bird. And it doesn't say other birds get +1. It is all birds. So you're just like all birds all the time. A lot of evasive creatures on the board. There's a lot of amazing birds out there. Again, they are evasive. A lot are low to the ground, have a lot of cool effects essentially. And you are building up this army where you're just like, yeah, I'm just building up the army while also having this massive Anthem commander out there that keeps growing and growing and growing throughout the game. It is absolutely an amazing deck. Make sure you check it out, build around it, and have a ton of fun with Kangee. And with that, this episode is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. In the comments below, let me know your thoughts are on this episode. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.